The studio lights burned bright, but the truth that day burned brighter. Everyone in the audience felt it. The tension, the chill, the sense that something unforgettable was about to happen. Cameras rolled, audience clapped, and the cheerful intro music of The View filled the air. But behind the smiles and rehearsed laughter, something was about to explode. Tyrus, the guest of the day, a man known for his calm yet fearless honesty, walked on stage, towering in presence and quiet confidence. He greeted the hosts politely, but his eyes told another story. They weren't here to play. They were here to listen. Whoopi Goldberg leaned back in her chair, smirking. "So, Tyrus," she began, "you've been making quite a lot of noise lately about how The View doesn't represent real people. Care to explain that?" The audience chuckled, the kind of laughter that says, "We're waiting for you to mess up." But Tyrus didn't flinch. He leaned forward, folded his hands, and said in a deep, steady voice that silenced the crowd. "Greater than, you know what's funny? You sit here every morning, talking about what real Americans feel. But have any of you actually listened to one lately?" The audience went quiet. Whoopi raised an eyebrow, but before she could interrupt, Tyrus continued, his tone sharper, his truth unstoppable. "Greater than, you all live in million-dollar homes, lecture working people on how they should think, vote, and feel, while they're out there working 2 jobs just to keep their lights on. You talk about women's struggles but ignore single mothers who can't afford rent. You talk about unity, while dividing people by color, by party, by every word they speak." The audience gasped. Even Joy Behar looked startled. "Greater than, this show," he said, gesturing around, "has forgotten what it means to be human. It's not a talk show anymore, it's a bubble. A bubble of privilege and politics." Whoopi tried to laugh it off. "That's a nice speech, Tyrus, but we're just giving opinions here." Tyrus leaned closer. His voice dropped low, not loud, but heavy enough to echo through every corner of that studio. "Greater than, opinions are fine. Lies aren't." The silence that followed was deafening. Before the show, Tyrus sat quietly in the green room, staring at his reflection. His mind wasn't on the lights or the cameras, it was on the message he'd promised himself to speak. He thought about his mother, a woman who raised 3 kids alone, working overnight shifts just to afford their school uniforms. He remembered her words, "Greater than, son, speak the truth even when it shakes the room." That memory gave him strength, and that strength was now shaking the very stage of The View. Back on stage, Joy tried to cut in. "Tyrus, we talk about issues that matter." But he interrupted gently. "Greater than, no, Joy. You talk about issues that trend. There's a difference." That line hit like thunder. Some in the audience clapped. Others murmured. Cameras zoomed in on Whoopi's face. She looked stunned, almost speechless. "Greater than, you preach about tolerance," Tyrus said, his voice gaining intensity, "but anyone who disagrees with you gets shouted down or cancelled. That's not tolerance. That's tyranny in makeup." A few people in the back stood up and started applauding. It was no longer a TV show, it was a reckoning. Suddenly, the producer's voice came through Whoopi's earpiece. "Go to break. Go to break." But before they could cut, Tyrus finished his truth bomb with a line that would echo across the internet for days. "Greater than, America doesn't need another TV argument. It needs people who are brave enough to listen, even when the truth hurts." And then he stood up, smiled politely, and walked off stage. The audience erupted. Some booed, many cheered, but everyone felt the same thing. Something real had just happened. Later that night, the clip went viral. Millions watched it. Millions felt it. Comment sections flooded with mags. "Greater than, finally, someone said what we've all been thinking. This is what real courage looks like." Respect to Tyrus for speaking truth to power. Even people who didn't agree with him admitted one thing: he was fearless. In an interview the next day, a reporter asked Tyrus, "Greater than, weren't you afraid of the backlash? The criticism?" Tyrus smiled, calm as ever. "Greater than, when you speak from truth, fear loses its voice." And that's the story that turned one TV segment into a movement. Because sometimes, one voice, firm, honest, and unshakable, can break through a wall of noise and remind the world. Greater than, real change doesn't start with shouting. It starts with listening. No matter how loud the world gets, truth will always find its microphone. Speak it, even when the room trembles.